Why does Zootopia feel so warm, so colorful, so full of life, yet leaves you with a strange heaviness you can't quite explain? Why does a children's movie about talking animals feel like it's secretly talking about us, about the world we built, about the fears we hide, and the labels we pretend not to live under? And why, even years later, does Zootopia feel so personal, so human, when it's disguised as a fun, happy adventure? Zootopia begins by promising a dream, a city where anyone can be anything, a place where history has been conquered, differences don't matter, past wounds don't exist. But if you watch closely, even in the first 10 minutes, Zootopia gives you tiny clues that something is deeply wrong, something quiet, something familiar. Behind the bright lights and smiling neighbors is a society stitched together by fear, assumptions, and the kind of unspoken tension that real cities know far too well. Everyone smiles, but a little too politely. Everyone coexists, but keeps a careful distance. Everyone repeats the same hopeful slogans, but doesn't fully believe them. It's the illusion of perfection, the kind of world many of us grew up dreaming about, the kind we were told existed if we just worked hard enough, behaved well enough, believed strongly enough. But reality always tells a different story, and Zootopia is built on that story. Judy Hopps, a symbol of pure hope, bright, ambitious, starry-eyed. Someone who believes the world is fair because she was raised to believe it. Someone who still sees possibility. She steps into the city thinking the world will reward her effort, her spirit, her optimism. But the moment she arrives, the world she believed in collapses. She's not respected, she's not trusted, she's not taken seriously. Not because she lacks ability, but because the world has already decided who's allowed to stand in certain places and who isn't. Judy's journey becomes painfully relatable because it mirrors every person who has ever tried to break out of the box the world placed them in. Every dreamer who walked into a new space and realized the world doesn't bend just because you have good intentions. If you've ever felt that silent resistance, just tap the like button so we know you're here. Nick Wilde enters as the opposite kind of tragedy. A fox who doesn't believe in perfect worlds. Not because he doesn't want to, but because the world refused to let him. Nick learned young that people don't see who you are, they see what they've already decided. And if society expects you to be something long enough, you eventually stop fighting it. Nick becomes the thing the world accused him of being, not because it's who he is, but because it's easier to wear a mask than to fight the same assumptions every day. Zootopia uses Nick to show the emotional cost of stereotyping, the loneliness of being misunderstood, the exhaustion of constantly being judged before you even speak. Nick's humor, confidence, and sarcasm are armor built from pain. And then the film does something brilliant. It lets Judy and Nick collide. Not as predator and prey, not as stereotype and stereotype, but as two individuals whose hurt fits together like puzzle pieces. Judy believes too much in the world. Nick believes too little. Together, they reveal the truth in the middle. This is where Zootopia stops pretending to be a fun animated movie and becomes something heavier, something uncomfortably familiar. Because underneath the jokes, the chase scenes, the cute characters, is a message every society knows. Fear is the real enemy. Not predators, not prey, not species, not individuals. Fear. Fear doesn't need proof, fear just needs a story. Fear spreads faster than truth. Fear destroys trust before anyone can rebuild it. Fear shapes societies without being loud. The moment predators begin going savage, everything changes. The train stations grow colder. Conversations get shorter. Neighbors pull away. People begin whispering instead of talking. The city designed to be a symbol of unity instantly fractures because unity built on silence is nothing more than a glass bridge waiting to crack. And the movie wants you to notice that crack. Zootopia shows how quickly fear turns peaceful people into enemies. How fast one headline can erase decades of progress. How easily society returns to instincts it pretended it had outgrown. The brilliance of Zootopia is that it hides this truth under bright colors and soft fur. Children watch a fox and a rabbit solve a mystery. Adults watch a society collapse under the pressure of unaddressed prejudice, and somewhere deep inside, everyone recognizes themselves. But the movie doesn't stop there. The apology scene, the one where Judy breaks, is the emotional core of Zootopia, because Judy doesn't just admit she was wrong. She realizes she carried unconscious bias, the same kind she believed she was free from, the same kind she never examined, the kind we all carry without noticing. And the film wants you to sit with that, because real healing doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from acknowledging the truth, even when it hurts. Nick doesn't accept her apology right away, and he shouldn't. Betrayal wrapped in innocence still cuts deep. But his silence, his hesitation, his pain show something powerful. Trust takes time to build and seconds to break. Yet somehow, through honesty and vulnerability, they rebuild it. Their partnership becomes the heart of the movie. Judy represents what the world could be. Nick represents what the world is. Together, they represent what the world must become if there's any hope of unity. Meanwhile, the true villain emerges, not Bellwether, but the system of fear she manipulates. She didn't invent fear, she didn't create history, she didn't start the wounds. She simply understood that scared people are easy to control. And when a society is already divided, all it takes is a gentle push for chaos to erupt. Zootopia'S message becomes painfully clear: the most dangerous weapon is a story, the most destructive force is fear, and the most powerful healing comes from empathy. And if this breakdown is making you see Zootopia differently, consider subscribing. Every Friday, we dive into the hidden truths behind the stories we grew up loving. The city you thought was a utopia becomes a mirror. The characters you thought were animals become reflections of the people we know. And the story you thought was simple becomes a lesson about how societies rise, fall, and rebuild. But the movie saves its most important truth for last: identity. Who you are versus who society tells you to be. Judy fights expectations by reaching upward. Nick fights expectations by shrinking inward. Both are trapped in a world that wants to define them before they define themselves. Zootopia is teaching its audience a crucial lesson. Oppression thrives in silence, in unchallenged assumptions, in fear left unexamined. The destruction of unity does not require overt malice. It requires neglect, apathy, and complacency. The city's collapse is a lesson, a mirror held up to every society, reminding us that vigilance, compassion, and introspection are essential to maintain harmony. Zootopia tells you something quietly, something important. Sometimes the real cage isn't physical. Sometimes it's the version of you the world believes, the version you begin to accept, the version you're afraid to disappoint. And that's why Zootopia lingers in your mind long after the credits. Because it's not a story about animals. It's a story about us, our fears, our labels, our blind spots, our masks, our hopes for a better world, and the work required to build it. As the film reaches its ending, something subtle but beautiful happens. The city doesn't magically become perfect. The wounds don't disappear. The divisions don't heal overnight. But the characters choose to rebuild. They choose honesty over pretending. They choose empathy over fear. They choose the harder path, the path of growth. And that's the real message. No society is perfect. No group is perfect. No person is perfect. But healing begins when people stop hiding behind slogans and start telling the truth. When they stop pretending and start listening. When they choose to see each other not as categories but as individuals. Zootopia teaches that a perfect world isn't one where there are no problems, but one where people are willing to face those problems together. If this story touched something inside you, even in a small way, take a second, breathe, and hit subscribe. We drop new stories every Friday, stories made with heart, nostalgia, and truth. Stories that help you see the world and yourself a little differently. Your support means more than you think.